Hello and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another Project Cars 2 video. In fact, this is only the second Project Cars 2 video I've actually done. It's not a game that I've played a great deal. If you saw the previous one on the British touring cars, I explained a lot of that and why I didn't really get into it. But that really is the topic of today's video. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that I am coming back to some games that I didn't really give a lot of time to when they first came out, and the reasons I'm playing a little bit less Gran Turismo now. I'm still playing it, there's still going to be plenty of stuff coming up on the channel for Gran Turismo Sport, but equally I am really enjoying, like I say, going and trying some different bits as well. Now, Gran Turismo for me, or should I just say actually GT Sport, has become massively just about drifting ever since I started playing it when it came out 2 years ago. That's really what I've been doing, and that's not going to be a massive surprise to any of you. If you've been following the channel, you will know that the vast majority of the videos that are here that you can watch now are all related to GT Sport and drifting. However, that hasn't always been the case for me. Gran Turismo has been a game that I've played for many years, and up until this one I've always really enjoyed playing the single player aspect of the game. But GT Sport just hasn't really done it for me. I know it's got a lot more in it now than it did when it first released those 2 years ago, but still, from a single player aspect, I think there's a lot in this game that really does need to be improved. So the reason I've brought you here to Project Cars 2 today is because there is one issue, for me at least, with GT Sport, which kind of spoils it and stops me going back to it from a single player and just racing point of view. And rather than me just doing it as always and just talking at you, I actually wanted to try and do a bit of live commentary. So I've done that for today's video. You'll have to see what you think and let me know down in the comment section. As always, it's going to be a little bit rough around the edges. It's not something I do very often, but it is something that I would like to do more of. So you are going to hear a big difference in mic quality. It's because I'm now on the headset, but at least that means I can play live for you and talk to you and use the steering wheel and everything all at the same time. So for this, I'm going to be on the G29 again, as you've probably seen on the channel before. I've picked a track that you can't actually get in GT Sport, which is a shame, but hopefully it will be coming at some point. It's been a firm favourite of mine for years and years, and it's the Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. And in terms of the vehicles, I've actually gone for the GT4 class, and I'm going to be in the Porsche Cayman GT4 Club Sport, as you can see on screen there. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about the other cars whilst we're out on the track. So let's get straight into it. So here we go, GT4, like I say, I'm going to be in the Porsche Cayman here. You're going to see lots of different vehicles on the track today. There is Mustangs, there's BMWs, KTM, Ginetta, Aston Martin. They've all got their own weaknesses and benefits. The Porsche here seems to be pretty much straight down the middle, and I seem to get on better with this than anything else in this category. Which is why I'm in it today. Sorry if I go quiet like that, I am going to have to concentrate. Now, this is a course that I absolutely love. It doesn't mean I'm actually any good at it. In fact, I'm not the best at racing games. I just enjoy playing them, and I like sharing my content with you guys. But yes, the reason that I wanted to make this video more than anything else was GT Sport, and actually its difficulty setting is my biggest issue. Now, I'm sure this has been documented by lots of different people, and it can't just be me that feels this way. But even if you set it to expert, it just seems far too easy. In many cases, you're having to detune your vehicles just to give yourself a little bit of competition. If you take it to another extreme, I guess, if you've got VR, and VR, I mean, I absolutely love GT Sport VR. If you haven't ever had a go at having a go with it, you really should try and find a way to at least try it out, because it is incredible. I mean, how good it looks and everything, and whenever you watch videos of it, it definitely doesn't do it justice. But that's not what we're talking about anyway. But yeah, with the VR side of things, you can only actually have 2 cars on the track at any one time, one of which is you. So you want a bit of competition from that other car. You want to, you know, it's far more immersive if you're being challenged. But the reality is, you're typically past that other driver, either on expert, in a normal, non-tuned car. You will be out of there and past him within the first corner or two, and then you just won't see him again for the rest of the race. And it's really disappointing that a game of that quality should be let down by something so silly. Well, that's my opinion anyway.
And the reason I'm coming back to games like this is that they are challenging, and it's a really big part of it. You don't want to go back to something you know you're going to win every single time. There's no point. You don't have to think about it half the time. You just win the races, win after win after win after win. You come to something like Project Cars 2 here, they've got it just right. The difficulties adjustable via a slider. It's the same thing that you actually get in Dirt Rally 2, and you can set it anywhere on this game anyway, from 1 to 120. I've got it set to 100 for today, which is actually what they consider hard. You can then push it all the way up to sort of your expert settings in 120, and the difference between even 1 to 102 is absolutely huge in terms of skill level. And as you can see here, I'm going to struggle to catch these guys now at the front, even on level 100, which is probably saying more about my ability than the game itself, as the guys behind me actually catch me up as well. But I like having the challenge, and I think it's an important part of a game like this. Dirt Rally's exactly the same. It's kind of been built on the fact that it's difficult, but certainly with Dirt Rally 2, they gave you that option to actually slide the difficulty, which has obviously made it far more accessible to people. I understand why they've done that. And yeah, I think it's important to be able to set that difficulty to however you want it. Now I understand with GT Sport, obviously you can take away your traction controls, things like that, make the game a little bit more difficult for yourself, but it just doesn't feel like there's enough there to keep me coming back, unfortunately. And obviously the online aspect of the game is what it was really all about. We know this, but now they've added all this single player stuff into the game, I just feel like it's a little bit of a shame that they haven't made the effort to improve that difficulty. Having a terrible race here. But you know, it's something that they could easily add, in my opinion. I don't know a great deal about, or in fact I don't know anything about developing games. I don't know how hard it would be, but surely you could just increase that difficulty, or even add in a whole new level of difficulty above the expert to make it that little bit more difficult. I love that corner. That's why I love this course so much. The corkscrew is just so good. But yeah, I mean, the other thing, I mean, beyond that as well. Now I know obviously GT Sport are updating all the time, and I think it's great. And I think the fact that all the updates are completely free is just testament to how good Polyphony are, because most people wouldn't do that. They'd be, in fact, all other companies pretty much are all charging for their DLC these days. But again, yeah, they've been trying to add in the wet weather, which they are. I mean, we've got 2 courses now with the wet weather, Red Bull Ring and the Tokyo Expressway. But even that, to me, just seems a little bit half-assed, if I could say that. The fact that they're doing it track by track seems a bit cheeky, to be honest. I mean, surely they should just add it in as a wet weather. I mean, you look at Drive Club, when that came out, that didn't have wet weather. They promised it. It then got released, but you got wet weather in the whole game. Wow, awful. I need to shut up, really. Wow. But yeah, at least they gave you the full game's worth, whereas GT Sport doing it this way, and maybe it's just me, but so far I haven't been particularly impressed with the wet weather. The fact that it's specific times of day, and you don't get a choice in it, it is just what it is. I'm not overly impressed. I don't think it looks that great either. I mean, again, take this game for example. You've got 5 variants of rain. You've then got 3 variants of snow. You've got fog. You've got wind, and the wind affects the car and things like that. They're the sort of things we should be seeing in GT Sport, the best console driving game, which it really is. But I would like to see these sort of these really standard things now from current gen games. Just being introduced into that game, and maybe them making a little bit more effort to get this out in a more timely manner as well. And I don't want to sound like I'm moaning. I don't mean to moan at all. I love GT Sport just as much as the next person. I really, really do. But in terms of that single player aspect, it really is stopping me from going back and actually playing it. And I'm sure it must be having the same effect on a lot of other people as well. And it just seems a shame, because it's such a small thing. If they just made it a little bit more difficult, I would definitely enjoy the VR aspect more than anything else, and I would be back in there playing it all the time, because there's nothing else really on PSVR racing wise that is as good as GT Sport. So I would just love to see these things changed, if at all possible. But until then, I'm going to keep coming back to things like Project Cars here, Dirt Rally. I'm probably going to go back to Assetto Corsa, but we have got Berrigan and Need for Speed and everything else coming out as well. So I'm going to just sort of experiment with my racing games at the moment a little bit, and I'm really enjoying it. I think Project Cars 2 on the wheel is one of my favourite games on the PlayStation at the moment, and it's again a game that came out sort of over 2 years ago, I think it was now. But I would absolutely love to hear your feedback on this, and whether you feel exactly the same way about it. I can't imagine it's just me that's finding it far too easy, because my skill level is nothing special, and I'm sure there's a lot of you guys out there that are far, far better than me, and you must find it just infuriatingly easy. There's just no real draw to go back to it, and why should you have to detune your cars just to make them less competitive, to give yourself more of a challenge? It just doesn't really make any sense to me at all. So just make sure you use that comment section to let me know your thoughts down below. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. There's content kind of similar to this coming out most of the time. And also give the video a like if you have enjoyed the live commentary, and if you'd like to see more of it in the future. There is absolutely loads of things that I've missed that I wanted to talk to you guys about during this video, but there you go, that's live commentaries for you. I just started rambling whilst racing and not really concentrating on what I was talking about or what I was actually doing on the track either, so we'll see how that comes out when I go through the edit. However, thanks for coming by the channel today, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys on the next one.